Saying hi to the no people? Because nobody's listening to these videos right now. What are you doing? For this particular little painting I did in my sketchbook, I was really excited and I don't know, looking forward to drawing this chicken with the little chiclets. I think they're called chiclets or chicks or whatever, running around on her and under her and in her feathers. And I really liked this little photo that I saw on Pinterest, so I wanted to take a stab at drawing it myself. Really? I'm trying to record an intro. Okay, be quiet. So, if that kind of content sounds like something that you would enjoy, feel free to stick around, suss out the vibes. I really like to create dope art content and hopefully curate a pretty chill atmosphere. So feel free to watch the video to the end and maybe check out the other content that I've made here on YouTube or on other social media platforms if that interests you. And if you're not new around here, hi, hello, how are you? I am pumped to talk to you guys about this video and my process painting and drawing this chicken. The first few minutes here are, per usual, just my sketch. I'm trying to get a feel for how I want to draw this really puffy mother hen chicken, and I'm trying to kind of get a feel for exactly what I want the painting to be, because at this stage in the painting I wasn't even sure that I wanted a background, but in the end I do end up wanting to experiment a little bit with a background or a potential background. And I know that it is always a little difficult to see my sketch in the beginning. I'm still kind of working on exactly why that is. I think it has to do with the way that the natural light is hitting my sketchbook page, mixed with, the fact that I am filming this on my phone, so it's not exactly, it's not exactly the best or most professional camera, but I know that our phones nowadays especially have really nice cameras on them, or so everyone says. So with that being said, I am just filming on my phone with a little ring light setup thing, and for the most part I really like it, but I've noticed that my sketches don't always show up. Now I do kind of sketch a little light, and in the end with the addition of the colored pencil, that always helps to show you guys exactly what my sketch looks like before I start painting it. But I would prefer to figure out how to get my sketch to show up a little bit more clearly, so that part of the video, isn't boring or has you guys squinting at a screen trying to figure out what's going on, because that's the last thing that I want. What I really like specifically about the colored pencil is that it really kind of covers the graphite, and it just makes me a little bit more confident in my lines and gives me a better, map or layout for how I'm going to paint this, what areas are going to be harsher edges than others, and it just kind of gives me a really nice lay of the land on the painting or the sketch or whatever it happens to be, and it helps me to understand exactly what I want to, the specifics of what I want to paint. Where the graphite, there's always a chance that it could smudge, and, it's just boring gray graphite, so it's gonna mix with whatever paint I have, or paint that I end up using. And because of that, I would just rather go in with a colored pencil before I start painting and add some little details and just kind of figure out what I want to do and what this thing is gonna look like, and add a splash of color, honestly, because I really don't like the way the gray graphite, when it shows through the painting, it really does kind of dull the color and, mix with the color in a way that makes it a lot more gray than it's supposed to be. This may have been the first painting I did with kind of like my new filming setup, where I had the kind of contraption that holds my phone and the ring light set up on the opposite side of my desk than where it was originally, because I didn't really want to move my desk, but at the placement that the phone was kind of sitting to film originally, it just wasn't getting as much natural light as it would on the other side of my desk. So I do end up like shifting that over so that hopefully it helps with the lighting, and I don't know, maybe hopefully it'll help with the not really focusing on the sketch. I don't know if maybe I just sketched too light. Maybe I need to just cut that part out. I'm not sure, but I'll give it a few more goes before I decide that. Currently in the video, you can see I'm kind of beginning my painting process. I go in with some pretty stereotypical colors for me, some oranges and some grungy greens, and I'm just kind of starting to fill out the piece, lay down some flat colors, get an idea of where I want things to go, and from there I just kind of layer and layer and build up with the watercolors until I get to a point where I'm content with the way the painting is looking. I used to think that I hated oranges, but I really, really have come to love the way that oranges that are similar to like raw sienna look. They're really nice, pale, subtle, not super vibrant orange. And I also love really soft, cool yellows, like Naples yellow. The colors here that I'm using are from Jasper Stardust. I'll probably put his name up on the video, honestly. Or I should say their name, honestly, because I love their paints. This palette here is like the cat palette. It's, I don't know, colors inspired by like different kinds of cats that you can see in the world, and I just absolutely fell in love with the colors. So my partner got it for me for Christmas a couple years ago, and you can see a couple of the colors in particular I have definitely made a dent in, which is always kind of funny to see, but also a little scary because these watercolors aren't cheap, but I love them so much. You can see I'm using kind of like a wet on wet technique right now to just blend the colors together and I don't know, make the addition of the like grungy green a little bit more subtle at the moment. I don't want it to have a harsh edge in relation to the soft yellowy tan color that I'm adding to the chicken right now. I decided that I wanted the little chicks to be that kind of more vibrant orange. I thought that it would help them stand out a little bit in relation to the mother hen, though I do think that in the end it gets a little bit more muddled than I want it to. I do like the colors, you know, it's nice to slowly build up, and you can see at the moment I don't even have like a background element or any kind of idea of what I want to do for the background. I think originally when I was starting painting, I don't know, I think that I wasn't really going into it thinking about a background, and I probably should have, honestly. And you honestly gotta love the way that my camera keeps going in and out of focus as my arm crosses the video. In future videos, I've really started to try and like be more conscientious of exactly what is happening in the camera, like while I'm filming, so that way I better understand and catch some of those things, and I try to be more conscientious of how my arm is reaching across the page so that hopefully it minimizes the kinds of, I don't know, like out of focus moments that you see here in this video. And here we finally have me adding a background in. It's probably going to be way too light for you guys to see, which is like totally fine, but I'm kind of just adding like foliage, like grassy kind of elements poking up around and surrounding the chicken and her chicklets, and eventually I also end up kind of adding a little bit of almost like a nest area that she's sitting in, like she's in kind of like a flattened part of grass. I don't know how well it all came together, but it was at least nice to try something different. I feel like looking back at this, I kind of wish that I had left the hen a little bit softer and more pale as she is now, because I don't know that I don't know, I think I added too much texture to the hen, and it kind of got a little bit muddled with the background, which also had a lot of texture going on. But I don't know, it's kind of one of my favorite parts about watching these videos back, is that I like have mixed feelings, and then at least every time so far when I've looked back at the video, I've been like, oh wait, I love the way this looks at the end, like this is really nice. I don't know why I was thinking this like 10 minutes ago while I was watching the playback of my process, but I don't know, we'll see. So right now I'm going in with one of my favorite greens in my handmade watercolor palette called Indigoge. Let's see, I believe that's from Jasper Stardust as well, which again, I'll make sure to put that name up so you know how to spell it, because I love their paints. They're so pigmented, they feel very professional, they're not very chalky oftentimes, which is something that definitely happens with handmade watercolors. They are oftentimes a little bit more opaque, but definitely not like gouache in texture. They just happen to have a little bit less translucency. This particular green, though, I always feel is so vibrant and beautiful. I just have to go in with a few layers to really get the depth of the color to show up in the way that I want to, particularly with this piece. If you haven't noticed yet, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little chicks around the mother hen. One is underneath her. His little butt is poking out. One is standing on her. The other one is, let's see, he's like looking up over her neck, like from her back. He honestly in the video just looks like a little triangle, but you'll see when I add the line work at the end that he is in fact a little chick. We have one clinging to her little tail feathers, and then we have another one who's like launched up off of the back of her tail feathers. And again, that'll be a little bit easier to see as I add line work and a little bit more detail to everything that's going on. I'm really trying to, in this piece, really bring the depth to that indigoge color and just add some more texture like I have in my otter painting, which I showed in my sketchbook tour and in past paintings where I've just kind of been working on really focusing on adding texture to my backgrounds and just adding more visual interest to the backgrounds as a whole. Plus, that the depth of this color is just so pretty, and at the moment it just wasn't doing it for me. I really needed it to be deeper and darker and more bold. I really sit and work with this background and this sort of like little nest area underneath of her for a while, just kind of going back and forth and really trying to, I don't know, figure out exactly what I want to do with it, because I definitely had no idea. I did not go into this with a planned background, which probably was for the worst. I feel like doing little thumbnails or at least having an idea of what you want in your head before you start painting is definitely way better than going in blind. But I'm starting to add little details to the chicken, starting to like her a little bit more. But I do feel like it's really difficult to see the little chicks, and that stays the case indefinitely until like the very end, which is fine. Sometimes elements do get lost with color and then need to be brought more forward and into focus with that line work. But I think that specifically with this, it was like a tone issue where everything was kind of getting to the same tone, and if you put this in grayscale, it probably would be difficult to see the chicks at the moment, especially up against the grass. But I do believe by the end that I try and fix that. I at least try, so I guess we'll see if I succeed. I can't remember, I'm not sure. This piece I've gone back and forth on every time I flip through my sketchbook. Eventually, I do start to like the grass in the background, and I add a little bit of it overlapping in the foreground so that it kind of looks like you're peeking in on her nest, which I do actually really like that effect, but I don't know. I feel like lately I've been using a lot bolder line work, and this piece might have benefited from a little bit of a thicker line than what the ballpoint pen could offer. Eventually, I start to fiddle with marker and colored pencil and just really start trying to go in with some crisper lines and add a little bit of, structure to the piece that the watercolor doesn't often give. You can kind of see I'm like outlining pieces of the chicken and outlining parts of the nest, which I really like actually the way that that's looking. Even the little chicklet underneath of her I'm outlining a little bit with this Copic marker so that there's just a little bit more contrast between them and the background. And also just adding a bit more depth to her, the mother hen overall, and trying to give her a little bit more depth and texture, I guess. It's at this point that I'm actually very happy with the mother hen or the chicken. I really like the way that she's looking right now, and I'm really happy with like the colors and the different sort of pigmentation spots that I've added, and I'm kind of going in with a little bit more of a harsher, little bit of a mid-tone pen, like Copic marker compared to the one that I was just using, just to again add a little bit more color and a little bit more orange to her feathers, and I just end up really liking the mother hen overall, and I think that like the little chicklets are very derpy and very funny, and I just genuinely think, looking back on it, I wish I had gone thicker with the line work. But I feel like oftentimes there's, I don't know, it's always hard when you've kind of changed the way that you are currently painting and drawing and just like your process, and then go back to an old piece and it's like, oh, if I had just done this new technique on this old piece, then maybe it would be a little bit better, but that's not the way the world works. And I don't want to go back and edit this because I was pretty happy with it overall. I do think that it's not like the best thing I've ever made, but I'm happy to share it and shoot it off into the internet and see what happens. That's kind of what I'm doing with all my videos right now, and you know, I got a couple views, and I also have some videos with 0 views, and it's a little bit interesting to figure out how to make this work at all. And I know that consistently posting is a huge factor in that, so I'm really just filming and posting everything and seeing what sticks. In the end, I definitely don't think that this little like painting doodle is perfect, but I am very happy with the fact that I did it and that I pushed myself for this background to kind of experiment a little bit with a background that I'm not super familiar with how to do. I actually really like the background. The foreground, I think if I had planned this a little bit better, I would have implemented like the grass in a little bit more of a harsher, more obvious way in the foreground so that it was a little bit more clear, because right now it doesn't really have any structure. It's just like painted lines, where I feel like if it had some line art to it, it would look a little bit more intentional and a little bit more thought out. But it happens to the best of us, and so with that, I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys. I hope that you enjoyed the video, that you stuck around to the end, and that, you know, you do all the YouTube-y things that people always ask you to do to YouTube videos, and I will hopefully talk to you guys in the next one. Bye!